It's a subdivision name from tax.
But we don't have.
Our primary source is tax. So 99.9% of everything you're looking at is going to be what it's called in tax.
But we don't have subdivisions, in the Woodlands.
Well, you have them. They fill them in with something. Technically, they have that field filled in. I would agree with you that that it is an interesting challenge sometimes to figure out what really it actually lives in or where it falls. Again, we're at the mercy of the tax districts. Until they come up with some sort of conformity or amend their database, we can only pull what they have for us.
We tried this 10 years ago, trying to come up with something.
Some other naming conventions and so forth, yeah. Definitely pros and cons. We have a lot of data, but it's all what we can get from another source. Okay. So looking at these that have the MLS data, again, the little camera is for the photo gallery. We guarantee at least 2 years worth of sold data, so we'll have pictures and all of that. We could potentially even have it going back further, but we guarantee at least that much. So now all up to 32 photos that were in MLS are just right here for me, and I can preview that. I can print them out separately, or I can print and email, again, this comparables report. Okay, so just depending on what I want to send. Remember, when I go to email or print, if I choose quick, it will email all of the tabs. If I click customize, I can pick and choose which tab. So let's say I only want to send this comps report. I need to uncheck what I don't want to email out or print out. Yes, sir?
The little symbol next to the camera, is that the one that takes you to a specific record where it has a map, for example?
This is the full detail report. That symbol on the left, is that the one you were talking about? Will take you to the full property detail with potentially the picture, the plat map at the very bottom, all that information,
So you
the
can
breakdown.
tell from clicking there, when you're doing comps, if you have a home that's on a green belt, you could look at that, click that little thing and scroll down and see if the property is a match.
Mhm. So that's the very bottom of that report. We've got the plat map for you there. So most likely yes is the answer there. Okay. And also it's physically showing me my comps up here on this map. So I can also just double click and zoom in a bit and say, oh, that's on, the south side of Gamewood and I need to be on the north side or whatever. And then if I uncheck anything, it instantly updates all of that. So 2 different ways to kind of say yes to the same question there. Okay. And then in the lower left, again, kind of outside my comfort zone, all of the commands and controls are at the bottom of Realist. So the bottom left corner now says generate comps report, and that generates a pretty basic but still quite comprehensive and helpful, and numbers are numbers, data's data. So it lays it out nicely on the page, and it's a printable, emailable report, a columnar comparison. So it gives this sort of overview of the criteria that it used. Again, we've got that half-mile radius, no preference on pool, the square footage range, land use codes, lot area. Again, its default, I didn't specifically show you that, but in that modify section, it goes back 9 months by default. So you probably want to alter that to be 3 month to maybe 6 month back range. Okay, so again, be mindful of what criteria you're searching by and setting it up for, and make sure that's what you really want. And then a little further down, there is, like I say, that columnar comparison. My subject's the far left column, and then my other 2 comps are here to the right because I had MLS data on every other one. I've got MLS photos there, or the Bing map aerial view if there was no MLS data. Awful lot like it.
Yeah, it really does.
It's an awful lot like it. So again, it's just the basic core field side by side in columns, and that's their quote unquote comparables report. And I can look at it and go, okay, now I know, and I can close it, or I can print it out, I can email it out. Okay. Top right here, I'll close the report. I think that's what I want to do. Nope. I'm going to go to the next tab. That's what I want to do. Comparables we looked at. Any other questions on comparables whisking through those sections. Y'all are asking great questions as they come up, so keep doing that.
Where was it that you went to modify, like, whether it picked 9 months or 8 months?
Let me get back. It's thinking real hard about switching back to the comparables tab. So once it flips to comparables, then I'll click modify.
Oh, okay, okay.
I know it's hiding in plain sight. It's too simple. It's hard. It makes it hard because it's so simplistic. So there we go. Comparables, modify, search, gets me to that half mile or bedrooms count or the 90-day back
Okay.
as well.
In all this case, you want to use submit unless you want that your default, right?
Submit changes just this current search. That's correct. Save and submit updates it for next time as well. Okay, so that's, again, not just because she asked, but it's important to make sure that I point that out to you 9 months back by default. You can also do a specific range. So if you wanted January 1st of this year through now or something like that, you can do that. Okay, good question. Thank you. All right, so then the next tab over is market trends. Again, I know you know what these titles mean mostly. You've got your basic definition of a market trend. This is going to zoom out a little bit, meaning it's going to be a zip code, city, and county level report of data. It's not specific to the subdivision or that one property. It's now a little higher up, as they say, based on these things. So I've got pricing trends, my median MLS sales price, median MLS list price, sales original list price to sale price ratio. I'm a little nerdly. I like stuff like original list price to be shown. Then we get into price per square foot according to MLS, market activity according to tax, and there's the number of sales in tax and the number of sales in MLS. Again, we could have a little bit of a difference in the numbers because new construction FSBOs sales that occurred not through MLS. Change in sales activity, again, tax and MLS. Turnover rate according to tax and MLS data. And then we get into something, again, that we don't currently have all in one place, which is foreclosure information. So this is the number of foreclosures according to the tax data, change in foreclosure activity according to tax, percentage of properties, again, in the same zip code, city, and county. So it's a large kind of broad spectrum report. And then we get into the types of properties in the percentage of a type of foreclosure. I'll get it out here in a second. So we've got pre-foreclosure, auction, and REO. So you can see in the zip, it's about 50-50 REO and auction. And then in the city of Spring, we've got a considerable amount of REO properties and then a good split of the other two, pre-foreclosure and so forth. And then in Montgomery County. This is the current year, yeah, and then the city, the SIP, and the county. Okay. And again, don't forget you can modify, display, take out that foreclosure stuff if you're going to print it out, or leave only the foreclosure stuff if that's what you want. Whichever section of that data that you want, you're able to kind of customize what you're looking at and what you print or email.
Can you zoom in using that modify tab?
When you modify, you can change what you're looking at, and then the search, you can just narrow it between single family only, condos only, the monthly data, quarterly data.
Go any closer than zip.
Can't go any closer in than city, zip, or county. Yeah. Okay. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. Didn't even have foreclosure data before, so now at least we have that, but we have what we have. Okay. The next tab over is neighbors. This is based solely on geography, just what's close by this house. So they're neighbors. And it will map that for me based on the actual distance. So this is 310 Crossbow that I've started with. This is the closest one, technically. This is the second closest property. This is the third closest property. This is the fourth closest property based on the latitude and longitudinal coordinates that the tax and Bing and so forth has. And then it gives me another little columnar type comparison chart toward the bottom. So again, my subject on the far left, and then the closest number 1 map pin, the number 2 map pin, the number 3 map pin. You can see down here the mileage distance from the subject is down here. So that's, again, what it's using. And you've got little arrows to scroll to the right and continue through the other properties. So this is now 3, 4, and 5, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9, so on and so forth. Okay. So again, just kind of a little aerial view of the neighborhood. And again, if there is MLS data, it will show you that photo and that information if it's got it. Excuse me. And then our last tab is neighborhood profile, which gets into some demographic-y stuff, put it into very technical terms. Again, disclaimer, right? Be very careful with demographics. We should never be perceived as trying to influence someone's decision based on any of those protected classes demographics. So here it is, and you can print it and hand it to them and run away and not be perceived at all, right? If they ask for it, here you go, here it is. I can't help you determine if that's good or bad or what my opinion is.
Does it have it?
It has a disclaimer at the bottom of every page. Again, you know your target audience, I guess, is the best advice. But it does start off with population based on, again, a zip code here. So it's a high up or large level report. So the population, the gender breakdown, the housing, the occupancy, the quality of life. That one makes me giggle just a little. Is it more quality because I am in the mining industry, or less quality because I'm in mining? I don't really understand that title, but I didn't name it. In whose opinion? That's right. Household income, again, commute method, weather, educational levels. And then we get into schools. So again, stuff that we had, but not necessarily all in one place. So now these are the closest schools, and you can see right here, it's doing a 3-mile radius around my subject. So these are the closest geography-wise schools. I know that somewhere in here is the school at Zone 2, but I cannot tell that from this page. I still need to go to the MLS School Zone Finder, the HAR School Zone Finder, or to the actual school district's webpage, or call. I hear you can call people and talk to them. I don't know. I just text. I don't know. Here that still works, though. And then they have the school rankings here. Greatschools.org is where the little circle with the number in it is coming from. That's based solely on test scores. So that STAR test, TAKS test data is where that number inside the little bubble comes from. The other ranking over here, the community rating, comes from actual people somehow related to the school. Students, staff, parents, guardians, those types of people who were asked to take an opinion type survey, and that's their ranking. So they tested fairly well, but they did not feel super warm and fuzzy about it, right? So that's kind of what those sort of tell you. I've got my public, elementary level, middle school, high school, and this also includes private school information. So whatever's available on private schools. Personal interjection, my son's always needed to go to private school for his special needs, and it's difficult to find a collection of data all in one spot. You have to do a lot of legwork, so that kind of struck home with me for that reason. So a little further down yet, we've got local businesses or nearby places, the being kind of stuff, what's close by. So you can see there recreation, eating and drinking, healthcare services. You can customize the different sections or type of local businesses you want to include as well. Shopping, again, whatever Bing thinks exists is what it has. Do my little Vanna spin here. We've got rain, forest, florist, and rainforest, flowers, exact same address, suite number, 2 different phone numbers. So it's listed on Bing 2 different ways, but I'm going to probably be able to guarantee that's the same business, right? So again, whatever Bing thinks lives there is what it's going to put up there. So independent information should be independently verified, right? Down at the bottom, again, it does have your little disclaimer. You should be independently verify your data. At the bottom of the school section, it cites the source. So it tells them the school information came from greatschools.org. If you want to go there, and here's the makeup of the other one, okay? And an important point that a student actually mentioned the other day when I was teaching this class, which I thought, gosh, I wish I had remembered that. Greatschools.org took the rating and they posted it, but on this page it does not tell me how many people were involved in that rating. So that opinion poll sort of rating, the little stars, that could be one guy, right? That could be 2 moms, or it could be, one lady who's had 15 children go through for years and years and years. It could be hundreds and hundreds of people. So you have to go to greatschools.org to verify the content of their survey and their results. But this is giving you the overall kind of basic overview number there. So again, just something to be mindful of. And I can't stress it enough. If I go to modify, display, take out the demographics, then email it, then I don't have to worry if they did or didn't think I tried to influence them based on what I sent them. So it's just up to you, know your target audience there. And then the last tab, which again is not here, which is telling me there is nothing to tell me, okay? There would be a foreclosure tab if there was foreclosure history or current information about foreclosure, short sale, REO, auction, those types of things that we saw before. So in this case, there is no tab for a foreclosure situation. So this property's not in one or has not had one, okay? So it would add that on for us right there if that were the case. Okay. So that's the basic. Yes.
Okay, when it pulls up your neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
because you don't have one there for some reason, it does show the little symbol for bank-owned or foreclosures or whatever. There's inside, there's another little.
On the market trends report.
No, it's just on your property. It's under.
Okay,
under
neighborhood.
alcohol. It's way back when you select your neighborhood. You know where you had
I'm
all
not
the
certain.
it shows active, sold, that list of stuff.
On the comparables report,
Way, way,
maybe?
way back. I'm talking at the beginning.
Okay, so the very first thing I did was just pull up one property and I got here. And then I can go into the comparables, which
Okay,
it
you can do
seeks
the
out
comparables.
for me. Is that the tab that you
Go
mean?
there, that'll work.
Okay, it's thinking.
I think. no.
And then let me scroll up to where it actually starts.
It's the one line.
Where
right
we can
there.
check and choose which
There's,
comps we
I
want to
think it
include in that
was
report.
Inside the address line over on the left.
Yes,
side,
this-
there was a little.
This column right here
Yeah, maybe.
would have a little color-coded something or other. If this house were an REO property, in the column to the right of the little red balloon, it would put another symbol, blue for our red for auction. I can't remember the color coding, but it puts a different pin there. You're right. Yeah. So if you hover on top of that other little symbol that would be right there, then you'll see that. When I go to the next, when I do a My Search, we'll get a whole bunch more results that will actually show that pin, so it'll make more sense than, me trying to describe something that you're not seeing, which I'm not doing really good. Sometimes I can do that. Today's not one of those days. I'm not doing that very
So
successfully.
Marilyn, are we going to take a break?
We are now going to take a
Okay,
break.
so let me share a couple things with you all. First of all, I apologize for the raccoons. Apparently, we're getting some towers installed, and they've been waiting for the right weather, and it just happens to be today, so I'm
Is there
sorry for
something
that.
happening?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We do.